everyone, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you have watched my Mercerships vlogs or my JUC vlogs or Mint Tea and Theology videos in the past. But whatever the reason, if you know who I am or you don't know who the heck I am, I'm glad you're here because it means that you are interested in going to Jerusalem University College, and that is what I'm hyped about, and that's what I'm here to help you with. Whether you're already accepted and getting ready to go in just a few weeks with the class of 2021, or if you're gonna watch this in 2030 and you're just interested in going to JUC, I hope that I can provide some helpful tips and tricks and suggestions as to what to wear clothing-wise and what to bring for your experience, your life-changing experience in Jerusalem. Because something that you will hear when you're in Jerusalem is that although things are changing all around Jerusalem and the world keeps spinning, Jerusalem is timeless, and a lot of the customs and the rituals and even the clothing seem to stay the same. And so I hope, whether you're watching this now in 2021 or in 2050, if YouTube is even still a thing then, that you'll find some helpful advice. And so once again, my name is Carys. I spent all of 2020, or most of 2020, in Jerusalem at JUC for the fall and spring semester, which meant that most of my time in Jerusalem fell during the height of the pandemic, which was a unique experience. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about what that was like, I will link to some of my pandemic JUC videos in the description box below. But I will not digress onto that because I know why you're here is to figure out what the heck do I pack in my bag to go for this experience in Jerusalem, whether for one semester or two, or even just for a few weeks. Growing up, I also spent a lot of summers in Jerusalem doing the summer short-term trips. So hopefully you can find some helpful suggestions, even if you're just going for 2 or 3 weeks. So with that being said, let's get started. All right, so off the bat, the first thing you need to know when packing your clothing, particularly when you're going to JUC, is when are you going? Are you going for the fall semester, the spring semester, both, like I did? The fall semester, contrary for those of us coming from the Western world, is actually the hottest and driest season over there in Jerusalem, whereas the spring semester is the coldest, rainiest, emphasis on rainiest season in Jerusalem. And so let's start with the fall semester. A staple item I wore, let's see if I can find it, yes, were these linen trousers. I got 3 pairs from Old Navy for like $10 each. I had them in 3 different colors, and these were lifesavers. Not only are they lightweight, which you will be so thankful for once you're there in like 105-degree weather, but they're also long and loose-fitting, which is preferable when you're going out in the city, especially for us ladies. Our dress code is a little bit strict. I don't know if I use the word stricter. You guys have, you know, are encouraged to be modest as well, but it's just a little bit, I think, as women coming from the West, we need to make some more significant changes to maybe what would be our normal wardrobe. And I definitely recommend it. You're gonna have a much better experience when you're not trying to fight the system and just wear whatever you want, because you're gonna receive more respect, you're gonna feel more comfortable, you're going to be able to get around with more ease without people saying rude things. Or I got hit once with a string of prayer beads. That was an interesting experience, ironic experience, but I was wearing like pretty tight skinny jeans, I will admit, with a t-shirt rather than like a tunic or like a longer shirt. Like an outfit like that, skinny jeans and a t-shirt, doesn't seem like a big deal if coming from like Seattle, but it was a lot bigger deal in the Muslim quarter. I also had just like some fun trousers like this that were also kind of loose fitting, but these were not made of linen, these are cotton, so I felt the difference. And then I also brought jeans, especially as you start to get near the end of fall semester and enter spring semester. Then you're wearing jeans a lot. When it comes to shirts, obviously recommend just like the normal t-shirt look, especially for field trip outings or when you're on campus. I didn't really prefer the t-shirt look when I was in the city. I wanted to blend in a little bit more, and it's kind of a very American look or Western look. And so I tended to wear shirts like this with the quarter length sleeve, shirts like this that I got at Patagonia. That's like my favorite thing for Jerusalem clothing. Also, here is another shirt, kind of like the Patagonia shirt, but just simple, long sleeve, lightweight. That was helpful, especially when you're going to sacred sites. I also recommend having a few skirts like this. I have the more like form-fitting skirts. Again, not skin tight, people. We don't want skin tight in Jerusalem, but somewhat fitted. And then I also had more of the like flowy skirts, just like the maxi skirts like this. Longer and flowier is obviously like always better, but I'm like 5'11", so I did not always accomplish that. But that is the recommendation. I have said it here. All right, the next thing I wore a lot. Oh, and also, before I forget, I would recommend while you're watching this video to have JUC's like official clothing list pulled up, because they give you like the modesty code and items that they recommend bringing. And I'm obviously not going into as much detail as they have on that list on that sheet. This is just like some examples of what that might look like in real time, because sometimes it can be hard to picture what is listed there on the sheet of paper. So there we go. Another thing that I wore a lot during fall semester was this romper, also from Patagonia. This was something that was really great to wear on campus, but again, I couldn't really wear this off campus as much because it is showing my shoulders. You know, it's a very holy city, so many different holy sites and different religions represented, and so we're always trying to go more modest in our clothing. But this was great for being on campus, especially because I was like in lockdown for most of the time. And you do want to have some clothing items that you just wear on campus, because I know that you're there for adventure, but you're also there as a student, which means you're going to spend a ton of time in the library. Wow, like so much time, guys. Something else I recommend are joggers like these. These are lifesavers as well, because they're lightweight, but they're also long down to my ankles. And not only can it be like 110 degrees in Jerusalem, but during fall, there's also a lot of mosquitoes, like a lot. Some of you, once you're there, you will find a cistern door. Do not open that door during fall, because you will have a plague, I'm telling you, a plague of millions of mosquitoes just swarm out of there. And I learned the hard way. I wanted to say it's nice to have longer things like this, because then you avoid like mosquito bites. But sometimes it's just so hot that I would just wear shorts like this. Oh, these are inside out, of course. This is why you put your clothing away the right way. But yeah, just like shorts like this, because it was just too hot. And I would wear shorts like these sometimes on field trip days when we were not in the city or in churches or in holy sites, but we were just out in the middle of the wilderness hiking. Those days you could normally wear shorts like these, but something that I normally did, especially when I was traveling like just with friends to go like hike in Getty or go to the Negev and hike, is sometimes I would wear the shorts under a skirt, or I would just bring them in my bag and I would change once I was there at the hiking trail. Because especially if you're taking a bus or a taxi, you can still feel really uncomfortable if you're wearing shorts like this, and it can be really just looked down upon. So that's a recommendation if you are going to wear shorts, is I would just bring them in my bag and change once I was there. You just feel much more comfortable all around. So shorts and t-shirts just like this are great for hiking and spending time at JUC. Never, ever wear this into Jerusalem, ever. Okay, something else that I brought was a more fancy romper, also from Old Navy. So not super fancy, but just something nice and light, again, lightweight, like this, or a dress or a nice skirt that you can wear for Shabbat, because every Friday JUC students come together and they have a beautiful Shabbat meal together and go to Vespers service. And so it's nice to have something kind of nice to wear. Again, it's not like, we're not going like ballroom dress here, but just something that's different from your usual clothing. So I wore something like this. And then let me see, other spring recommendations. Oh, yes. This hat is one of my favorite items for all of my JUC adventures. And so I definitely recommend getting a hat, whether it's a baseball cap or a hat like this. I'm a big fan of getting to live out my Indiana Jones dream, so I got a hat like this. And so I wore this on all of my field study days, all of my hikes, and didn't really wear it in Jerusalem. But when I was out and about, I wore this hat. And if anyone's interested in a hat like this, I got it from Barma, Barmah. So if you would like a hat like this, I highly recommend. It's been with me for years. Okay, when it comes to shoes, I didn't bring a lot of shoes with me. I tended to just either be in tennis shoes when I was hiking and out and about, like these. I had some sandals that you can see in these pictures that I wore in the city. I had my favorite teaks, which are great kind of fancier travel shoes. If I was just going to Shabbat or going to a church or something, I'd wear those. And I'm pretty sure that was like the only shoes that I had in the fall semester. And then of course, when we get to spring, I had some boots, and these were waterproof because it rained way more than I was expecting. And so it was nice to have some whoa, let me not knock this down, some waterproof boots. And sometimes I even wore these hiking. And so maybe that's when you'd rather have hiking shoes. I just found that these worked. They're just like Ugg boots, and maybe I'm just really unprofessional in hiking, but they worked. All right, switching gears into spring semester, which is gonna get a lot colder. Remember, you are in a stone building, which is great during the fall because it keeps it cooler inside. A little harder during the spring when it gets so cold that you are wishing for more heat. I wanna give you just the facts right now so that you bring the right clothing. Because I think it's really only hard, the really significant heat and cold, if you do not have the right clothing. But if you have the right clothing, it's really cool because you get to experience the wide spectrum of weather that all of the biblical characters experienced. Because I don't know about you, but growing up, I kind of just assumed Jesus was like always wearing a tunic and it was always hot. I don't really know why, but that's kind of the picture I got in my head. And so it was really interesting to realize like, whoa, it's actually, there's hailstorms and rainstorms and windstorms, and it gets really cold. It might even snow. And I think Jesus and the disciples and all the various biblical characters went through all of these seasons. It is really cool. And especially at JUC, you're not just going to experience all of this different weather. You are going to learn exactly why these weather patterns are happening and how it affects the landscape and the geography and the Cenomanian limestone, all that great stuff. Erosion. You're going to learn so much. I'm excited just thinking about all you're going to learn. Something I wore a lot. I went from wearing joggers like these, more lightweight trousers, to sweatpants. Heavier sweatpants like these. Again, remember you're in the library a lot, and so it's nice to have some comfortable clothes that are warm. I also had hot chili long underwear. I think that's what it's called. It was like leggings and a shirt that I sometimes would wear under my clothing just to stay extra warm. So definitely recommend things like that. I also brought trousers like this. You'll see a picture of me wearing these. And let's see, my staple items that were really helpful. I had a Patagonia like this. Definitely like wore this every day. And then I would wear shirts like this. This is from Eddie Bauer, but just heavier long shirts. Normally I would pair it with like a vest like this. I actually have a vest that was for lighter, less cold days, and then I had a heavier vest like this, which again, you'll see pictures. And then I would wear sweaters like this. I think I only brought like 2, and would pair that with jeans or those other checked trousers I showed you. And then I had a pretty heavy set coat. Look at this bad boy. Maybe I should put it on. I'm gonna die of heat stroke, but this bad boy is waterproof, and I wore this all the time, at least during February and March, and then it starts to get a little warmer. But yeah, definitely recommend. I also recommend some hats. I wore hats every single day that I went out during February and March, and even a little bit into April. So recommend, and gloves and scarves, just all of it. Unless global warming changes things and it's like a warm spring, which you could have, I still recommend being prepared. So the last 2 things I would recommend are a light puff jacket and then some hiking trousers. Here is a picture of the trousers. Really recommend having a good pair of trousers like these because I could wear these fall and spring semester depending on how cold it was. But at least during part of spring semester, you could wear these. And they were just really nice to have a pair of trousers when I wasn't really feeling like wearing shorts. And when you want your legs to be protected either from bugs or sun or wind or whatever, these were just a must-have, go-to all the time. Wear these at least twice a week. And then a puff jacket is just for that kind of in-between spring and fall semesters where it's like cold but not freezing, and you don't want to wear like your giant parka. And so those are some recommendations clothing wise. It is kind of a lot, but you would be surprised by how much more you can end up wanting to bring. I made that mistake. I feel like I brought way more clothes than I ended up wearing. And when you're going to Jerusalem, I just feel like it'd be better to just have a few staple items, like these outfits that I just showed you, your version of those outfits. And come with room in your suitcase. Come with room to bring stuff back. Also knowing that, I don't know about you, but I feel like we always overpack and then just end up wearing what we're comfortable in anyways. So I hope that you can come with less stuff, especially even just practically thinking about getting to JUC. It's a pretty big trek up a cobblestone hill from where the Sharut will normally drop you off. And so that alone is worth not having like 2 giant suitcases. And then once you get to JUC, you might be on the 3rd floor, and we don't have elevators. And again, you just don't need that much stuff. This is a place where there is just so much more going on than what you're wearing and what's in fashion. And I don't know, like when I'm here in America, it's interesting, but I always find myself wanting to shop for clothes or like wanting an outfit I don't have. But when I was in Jerusalem, that like was hardly ever on my mind. There's just, again, so much more going on, and you're just diving into the Bible and that community, and you're learning about stuff that is just so much more important. And really, the only times I really wished I had different clothing or more clothing was when I was really cold or really hot. It was more practical needs. And so that's why I hope this has given you a practical picture of what's helpful and necessary for your time in Jerusalem. And then a few final miscellaneous objects that I just was really happy that I brought. One, this Hydro Flask mug. Look, I even branded it with a sticker. You'll probably get a ton of these when you get there, but if you didn't know that I like JUC, now you know. But I loved having this. I used this every day, all the time. It was always with me because it kept it really hot. And when you don't have like a kettle in your room, sometimes it's just nice to have it hot for a while. And you don't have to bring one. You can buy like a cheap mug once you get there. So it's not like you have to, but if you have the room and you're kind of into your coffee tea ritual, you might like having your own mug. But they have a whole cupboard full of mugs you can borrow if you don't want to bring your own. Something else I definitely recommend bringing if you're coming for the spring semester is this hot water bottle. Well, not this one, this is mine, but your own hot water bottle. We use these all the time. Like some of the students who didn't have their own hot water bottles ended up going out and buying one, and we would always be hogging up all of the kettles, just waiting in line, not for tea or coffee, but to fill up our hot water bottles, or hot waddies as we called them. And that joke will make sense once you get there. But yeah, it can be really cold in those stone buildings, and the library is heated, and there's some places in the building that are heated, but not everywhere is heated. Your room might not be heated. So I filled this up every night and slept with it, and I was really comfortable when I had this. So just definitely recommend bring 2, maybe if you want one for your feet. Okay, and final note, I traveled with this backpack to Jerusalem, and it was not only helpful getting me to Jerusalem, but I also used it for school. I put my laptop, my books, cart this around to class and to the library. Also on overnight field trips, this is really helpful when you're going out to Galilee or the Negev or Jordan or wherever. But for the rest of the time, when I was just going out to Jerusalem for a day or going on more of a smaller day trip, I normally didn't feel like I needed such a big backpack. And so I had a bag like this that goes over the shoulder. And this is really cool because I liked having something that was secure, but if I needed something, I could just pull it to the front and get my camera out or whatever. So this is really helpful if maybe you don't even need something this big and I have a fanny pack as well. But this, I would say it's better to have a bigger bag because you normally have to always bring your maps with you and your notebook. And so you want something that at least fits your maps in it. So I think that is everything. Oh my gosh, almost forgot. My favorite blanket. This is not something you have to bring to Jerusalem, obviously. And I wouldn't recommend bringing your own bedding if you're only going for a short-term trip. Definitely don't bring it then. Or even a semester. I don't know if you need it, but I went for 2 semesters and I really enjoyed having this blanket, having my own sheets. I brought my own sheets and a duvet cover for their blankets there because for me, that just made me feel comfortable. I like having my own space. So I recommend that because JUC provides bedding. You will not be without. They have pillows and blankets and sheets, but the sheets aren't fitted, and sometimes the blankets are like furry and pretty heavy, and so sometimes it's just nice to have what you're used to. And so I ended up bringing a cheap duvet that I bought from IKEA, like a really light duvet, and I put my duvet cover over it and just brought my own stuff, made it my own bed, and then left it once I left JUC. So maybe one of you can find my old duvet there and use it on your bed. Oh, and one more thing I'd recommend is to maybe have like a pair of comfortable shoes or flip-flops or something like that, just for wearing at JUC, because I would find all the time, I do not know why, I did not learn both semesters to bring a pair of shoes, but I'd be in my room and I'd want to go to the bathroom, or I'd want to go to the library and get a book, as you will want to do many times. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have to put on my tennis shoes, or I have to put on my sandals, which are just caked in layers of Jerusalem dust. Or my boots, I guess. And so sometimes I found that to be just tedious. It sounds like a first world problem, but after doing it like 3,000 times, you're like, why did I not bring flip-flops? Or slippers or something that's just more comfortable. All right, so that is the end of my tips and tricks. Bernie is definitely done. You ready for a walk? Yeah? I hope that you found something helpful in this video, and even though I'm not going to be there this year, 2021, with all of you fine JUC students, I look forward to the day that I'm back, which will be one day. I finished the certificate, the year program, getting a certificate, and one day I'd love to go back and get the master's. So I'm sure that one of these days I'll be back in my favorite place in the world, on my favorite campus in the world, maybe even with some of you who are watching this video right now. So I hope you have the most wonderful time coming alive to the Bible, as Dr. Wright, the former president of JUC, used to say. He said that people come to JUC expecting the Bible to come to life, but the Bible is already the living word of God. So what ends up happening is that we come to life to the Bible. I hope you have that experience. I hope to be able to be with you all one day, next year in Jerusalem, as they say. And feel free to leave any comments or questions, further questions you have in the comment section below, and I'll try to reply to those in a timely manner. And as always, I'll see you next time.